We tell her everything that happened, and it's really complicated and elaborate.
We all stand in front of the wooden door in a half circle, none of us wanting to open it.
So, this is all to clear James's name? Seems that way. But why go through all this trouble?
I rest on my good foot on the carpeted floor while I lean on Carl's back, wanting to give him some relief from carrying me all the time. Probably because of the smoke monster thing. It's trying to stop him. Maybe it's making all these obstacles?
Jenna
had taken our whole description of what had happened in the dining room pretty well. She listened silently while I explained what had happened so far.
So, I guess if we can get his story straight, maybe get it out to the town about what really happened, might be able to get out of here.
It's going to be pretty hard to make that story straight.
Jenna
rim shot.
Also not straight.
Jenna eyes the door.
You think that there's maybe a reason why this monster doesn't want James to get this information out?
We're quiet for a moment. Well, we don't have much else to go on. Again, there's a long pause as we all contemplate what the hell might be behind the door. That pause is broken by a certain husky, though, as his white hand suddenly reaches out to grasp the handle. He's like, fuck it. Maybe we've already done what needs to be done. I'll bet this gets us home.
Woohoo! Raven.
The heavy door pulls open slowly with an unearthly squeal. For the brief moment that I'm conscious.
Oh,
good
fuck.
way to start the sentence. I see a black square in front of me that grows in size until it takes up my entire vision. The muscles in my back and neck seize up, and my teeth clench together as my head jerks back. And then I'm falling. There's a rhythmic throbbing in my head. But it's hard to decide if it's coming from inside of my head or outside. The next sense to come back to me is touch. I feel a cold, hard surface under my back. Probably wood, judging by the way my claws sink into it. I shift around a little, but I don't feel like getting up just yet. The smell is musty and old. I'm reminded of my grandpa's woodshed, a place I'd often go when I played hide and seek. The drumming sound continues, and the rhythm makes me think it's definitely coming from outside my body. It sounds tribal in a way. Where am I? On the edges of my memory are troubling images of endless halls and rooms, the smell of decay, and a noose. But I feel like if I block it out and just go back to sleep, I can erase all of it. I almost succeed, but then something brings me right out of my reverie. Carl! Chase? I grimace, the voice reminding me of something dark, cloudy. Help! The much louder yelp that follows has me rolling to my side, cracking my eyes open blearily. I'm in a dark room, very dark, with the only source of light coming from what looks like a candle on a bedside table. A large bed sits next to it. I'm laying near the foot of the bed, and opposite me I can barely make out a wall, next to which is a wooden box. Help! Raven's plaintive moan forces me to my feet, my joints cracking uncomfortably. As I drag my right foot up to stand under me, a blinding pain flashes up my leg, sending bright white across my vision. I let out a muffled scream of pain behind my clenched teeth, closing my eyes as I wait for it to subside. Memories are starting to flow back to me. There's a doorway in front of me, and I start to make my way towards it, hopping slowly on my left foot, holding the right off the ground. I come into a small hallway, one that branches to my left, into a corridor of darkness. Right in front of me, however, is a set of stairs. Light glows at the bottom, and I'm pretty sure that's where Raven's voice is coming from. In fact, I'm pretty sure I can hear other voices coming from there as well. I look down at my ankle, wincing as I see that it's gotten even bigger, more than twice its original size. I'm starting to think that it's more than just a sprain.
No kidding, my dude.
As I make my way down the stairs, cringing with every light hop, my stomach starts to sink. I remember now. The weird mansion that we were just in. The doors and hallways and the smoke monster. And the door we just went through. Whatever's happening to us isn't over yet. When I reach the bottom of the stairs, I find Jenna and Carl standing around a tall brown wardrobe. As I stand there, breathing heavily, Carl turns to see me.
Chase!
He immediately rushes to my side, his hooves clopping loudly against the wooden floor. I think he's simply coming over to support me, but he wraps me up in a hug.
God, I keep worrying that one of us is going to disappear. I'm glad you're here.
Yeah. I'm fine. I was upstairs in a bedroom, I think. The anxiety I'm feeling over this whole situation goes away, just a little, absorbed into the soft warmth of Carl's body. Over Carl's shoulder I can see Jenna watching us, her eyes narrowed, expression dark. I'm about to ask her what's wrong, when I hear a loud bang from inside the wardrobe. Guys? Are you still there? I think something touched me.
Is he locked in a box?
Jenna turns back to the wardrobe, silent for a moment, then bends down to look for something. Guys? I hear a metallic click. Then Jenna jumps back as one of the doors swing open, and a black and white blur falls out like a rock. Raven's face plants neatly into the wooden floor. He stays there a moment, moaning into the planks before Jenna bends over to help him up.
She didn't let him out, but she helps him up.
No, I think she helped him. I think she let him out. She bent over to look for something, and then there was a clink. So I think she found the lock.
Okay, perhaps, yeah. No, I thought she was looking at the floor. Like she was like ignoring responsibility.
Well, like he's literally like against the door, so just immediately thump.
For some reason,
instantly the moment it's unlocked.
Yeah, it should be a wardrobe, but in my brain, for some reason, I was thinking a chest instead.
No. Yeah, it's a wardrobe, so it's just there's like some kind of thing that holds it closed somewhere, and she found it.
The husky, the ram, and the wardrobe.
Yeah, she just hates Carl specifically for whatever reason.
Yeah, no, she has issues. Are you all right?
Yeah, I just felt like something grabbed me. I looked back into the wardrobe to find a very bare and empty wooden compartment. I'm inclined to believe him, though, after everything that's happened. What? Where are we? It's a good question. Every time I even ask a question. And now with the excitement over, I take the opportunity to look around as well. Everything is wooden. The walls, floor, ceiling, my friends, their clothes. There's a large rug on the floor covered in colorful patterns and shapes. It reminds me of the art projects we'd do in elementary school when learning about the natives. There's a big stone fireplace and 2 rug-covered chairs in front of it. Jenna gingerly shuts the wardrobe. Don't shut it. What if something manifests in it?
Yeah, just leave everything open. Just be safe.
Just in case.
So, a log cabin. Does everyone remember where we were before?
Yeah, that mansion place. So we're still stuck in this dimension thing. I sigh, rubbing my face with one hand while I lean against Carl with the other. I'd long ago given up on trying to figure out exactly what the hell is going on. Like Carl said earlier, we just have to keep moving and hope we can get out of here. What's that sound? That drumming that I had thought was coming from within my head has started up again.
Drums?
The husky moves towards the wall, which consists of several logs stacked horizontally on top of each other. I can't see anything. The cracks are filled with stuff. I look around again, this time more carefully. Right in front of me is a large log door, not unlike the one we initially came through. On my left, separated by the stairs, is what looks like the kitchen side of the room.
Do you think, because Jenna and her family are supposed to be like natives, right? And now we're in like a log cabin.
Yeah, you think we're going to John's side of the story, essentially?
Well, because sorry, what the name is John? I thought it was John Hendricks and something Begay.
I think it's John Begay is the name.
John Begay. What's the? Is it James Hendricks? Maybe I'm getting.
I think it's James. Definitely Hendricks.
Yeah, I think it's James Hendricks and John Begay.
Because the Hendricks ancestor is the one that was trying to clear the name,
related to Carl,
and the letter.
that
letter was addressed to John.
Yeah, but I get the impression.
And John's the one that was killed.
Yeah, and James is trying to clear his name as if he wanted to help save his lover. But I have a feeling that it's going to be more so like he threw him under the bus and he's like, yeah, make me look good. But I get the impression that like he probably didn't do shit or something like he was like, oh, this native guy is going to make me look bad, So I Jenna's whole like angry vehemence about everything I think has to do with this. And this I think has to do with the room we're in too. Mm-hmm. But I think it's gonna be like it's gonna be more dark than we anticipated. I think it's gonna be something like James is actually a bad guy and did something terrible. That's my humble prediction.
We'll have to see what happened. In it, there's a small table with 2 chairs on either side. There's also a big black wood-burning stove next to a few shelves which are full of pots and pans. Various tools and furniture clutter up the rooms. And there's a window. I pointed out to Carl. Look, let's try and see out through there. Carl pulls me into the familiar position on his back before clopping over to the window. The sound a bit louder with my added weight. Jenna and Raven follow behind. There's a ledge next to the window, thankfully, and Carl lets me sit on it. I turn to look out the window while the others crowd around me, resting their hands on the wooden bench. The first thing I notice is a flickering light in the distance, about 100 yards away. It casts out across the ground around it. Shadows from rocks and bushes dance about with the movement of the illumination.
Are they coming to get us?
It's definitely a fire. A large one, probably a bonfire. The blackness around the fire is unnatural, though. Just like what I saw through the windows in the mansion. It's inky and thick, and has the oppressive air of almost being alive. No other light comes from what I presume to be the sky, the fire being the only signal that anything exists outside the cabin. A fire? Raven says, redundantly. Alright.
Gotta throw that in.
Thanks, narrator.
The drumming, it's coming from it.
Carl reaches out, but his hand looks to immediately press against something. I reach out too, and feel a solid flat surface where a pane of glass might be set up, but it's clear there's nothing visible there. Observe, accept, move on.
Hey, look.
I look up in time to see something dark flash across the fire. It disappears into the darkness to the right of the flame, though. What was that?
Maybe it was a tumbleweed or something. No, it was jumping, whatever it was.
I feel it prickling along my neck, and now I'm not really into the idea of just staring out into the darkness. But then it happens again, and I see what Jen is saying. The dark shape starts at the left side of the fire before passing in front of it.
Like they're dancing around the fire.
Yeah. I get a brief impression of a tail and ears, legs and arms, pumping as if jogging in place. It moves past the flames, then disappears into the darkness again. Something's out there. We continue to watch, but the drumbeat dies down, and after a minute, it's clear that nothing's moving around there anymore. What was that?
Well,
Carl glances at Jenna.
The drum beat sounds kind of native, don't you think?
He's clearly waiting for Jenna to confirm.
Maybe.
There's an awkward silence before Carl coughs.
Well, let's think. We weren't able to get out of the mansion until we found that letter, right?
He looks at me. Yeah. I respond automatically.
Well, if that's the case, then maybe we have to find something in here, right?
I guess that would make sense. But what are we supposed to find? Another letter?
Yeah, your correspondence.
Yeah, didn't someone tell you about finding something that it would open the door?
Yeah, and I think it makes sense that whoever set this up would do it in the same way, right?
I sigh and stop staring out the window, my back sore from the twisting motion. I sit straight up on the bench and look back into the cabin. Well, if we're supposed to find another letter, there's a bunch of places to hide it.
Maybe we should try the door first.
Jenna walks over to the door and looks it up and down before reaching out to slide back a rusty bolt. To my surprise, it moves with only a little resistance. Are we sure we want to go out there? I mean, we don't know who that is running around. Jenna hesitates, then heaves back on the door. But it doesn't budge, not even an inch. Jenna sighs. Raven bounds up next to Jenna before enthusiastically yanking back the handle as well.
Excuse me?
His entire...
You think you can do something that I can't do? That's what I would say.
It's just like the moment that the door refuses to open, his entire perspective changes on what should be done. He's like, oh, the door isn't open. I gotta try to open it now.
It's like, oh, this is what you want? I'll try to help.
You didn't want to open that door exactly 1 second ago. Again, the door holds fast.
Of course.
Jenna stares at the door a moment before turning to us.
Let's take a look around upstairs. If we're supposed to find something, then we should start from top to bottom.
Agreed. Carl bends down to pick me up, but I rest a paw on his shoulder. Wait, I don't want you to have to drag me everywhere, let alone up and down the stairs.
I don't think he minds.
Just want to be close to you. Also, don't split up, fuckers. He stops mid-stoop, his face level with mine as he looks at me.
You sure? I don't really want to leave you alone down here. Yeah, I think you're right, Keith. I have a bad feeling about that.
Do not lose eye contact. Don't trust it. As I look back at him, I can't help but note the differences that I noticed earlier. His face has harder lines, his fur duller, eyes somehow deeper. Wiser?
You alright?
I break out of my trance and blink. Yeah. I'll just stay down here and look around where I can. Jenna and Raven are already making their way up the stairs. Raven going on about how his family used to have their own log cabin.
Wow.
Wow. That's very interesting.
Pat. Alright, but shout if you need anything.
I smile. At least I feel like some parts of Carl are still familiar.
He's still kind of bashful. He does the a lot.
After the ram heads up the stairs, I lean back on my little bench, letting my head tilt back as I close my eyes. Even in this new environment, everything is still feeling surreal. I've come to welcome the feeling, though. It's a nice little barrier to everything that's happening right now. In some ways, I can still pretend that this is a dream. Hell, even now I'm thinking it's a dream, that I'm somehow stuck in one of my paralyses. Maybe I'm in a hospital right now and they're trying to figure out how to pull me out of it. The thought has me feeling like I'm being watched, and the fur prickles around my neck. I guess it would be kind of awkward if all those doctors were watching me right now. Maybe Carl and Jenna are there too, and Leo, and Flynn, and TJ. The feeling gets stronger, so I turn back around to look out the window. It's still silent, and the lonely little flame in the distance continues to flicker around the rocks and sagebrush. It makes me wonder how endless this world is. If we're in some kind of ghost dimension being manipulated by what are basically ghost gods, then will this whole ordeal be never-ending? The thought twists my stomach, so I stop thinking about it. I turn back around and force my eyes to start scanning the kitchen from top to bottom, looking for something, anything that might stand out. I assume I'm looking for a letter. But again, if the rules are limitless in this world, then there's no telling what it might be that we're supposed to find next. I think about vocally asking James, or whoever the hell it is, for some help. Maybe some kind of hint at least. But there's no way I'm going to do that without the others with me. I'm thinking about pushing off the bench to start limping around the kitchen when a small scratching sound catches my attention. I hold still, then lean back, tilting my ear towards the sound. It's muffled and a bit distant, but it's coming directly from my left. Is it happening on the outside of the cabin? My fur prickles, and I think about calling Carl. If you think it's happening outside, get away from the window, get away from the window. It's been bothering me this entire scene that his back is to a black abyss out the window. Just like how it would really bother you to like stare out into this like inky darkness with this one thing you can see and that's it, and it's really far away, and so it's just begging for something to come between you.
Oh fuck.
It's just begging for something to come up between you and the light. But like now he's just been sitting with his back to the window, and it's like, no,
one of
you've
those
gotta
things
move.
that does genuinely get me in scary movies is the looking away and there's something really far away, and then maybe you look away for a second and then it's a little bit closer.
Yeah.
That thing fucking gets me real bad, dude. I hate that shit.
The Kung Pao trick. But scary.
But scary.
The Weeping Angel.
Kind of like that.
You haven't ever seen the Weeping Angel episode yet, have you?
No, but I know about the concept.
That's like the best episode of Doctor Who by some people's opinions and whatnot.
There's a was it The Grudge? It was either I think it was The Grudge 2 had a really good scene with a long hospital hallway and the girl coming up closer and closer and the lights going out as she's walking towards you, but she's really far away, and then all the lights go out and then she's like right next to the fucking elevator door. Really good. I do appreciate horror scenes immensely when they're good. I remember them forever.
I can hear the three of them stomping around, talking to each other in muffled voices from upstairs. I turn around again, this time a little more tentatively. The dancing bonfire continues to glow quietly. No other movement aside from the shadows. This time, a rustling sound comes from that same spot, and I instinctively turn my eyes in its direction. Carl? I raise my voice only a little bit, but their conversation carries on upstairs as if I hadn't said anything. I look up at the ceiling, then back out the window. The rustling sound continues, this time in earnest, as if something's twisted around in the brush. It's coming from just out of view of the window, right at the base of the house. I hold my breath and lean forward, stretching my neck up to get a better angle and peer down into the darkness. It's really too dark to see much, or at least that's what I was thinking. Almost as if it had its own glow. A bright white face stares back at me from the darkness. My mind blanks and my body seizes up. And just like that, I'm in a paralysis, forced to stare down at the white face, the black eyes. It's as if the thing is holding me with its gaze. But as it does, its features become more definable. I see tall ears, a long, pointy muzzle, a band of some type across the thing's forehead.
Stop it.
Something says it very deliberately through their teeth, right in my ear. At the same time, the face flickers and fuzzes, like a TV picture with a bad reception. The head twitches and shifts, then the muzzle opens and... the cackle that comes forth is all at once terrifying and familiar, and at that very moment I'm released. My vocal cords start working at the same time, and I let out a scream as I fall backwards. I land on the wooden floor with a loud thud that shakes the pots and pans of the shelves. The room spins, and I feel like I'm coming right out of a dream, like I'd been sleeping for ages. The next thing I know, I'm surrounded by the 3 faces of my friends, all looking down at me. Carl grabs me under the arms and pulls me into a sitting position, his face worried, but there's something else, too. Anger?
What happened?
I'm startled by his abruptness, and I stammer through an answer. It was a face out the window.
What did it say?
Carl, what are you doing? Raven reproaches the ram gently, his ears falling. Carl glances at the husky, then at Jenna, who's been silent so far, then back at me, slowly letting go.
Sorry, I was just worried about you. What did you see? Did it say anything?
He was, interrogating us.
It's being a little bit aggressive.
It's like maybe someone's pretending to be Carl. It takes me a moment to find my voice. No, it didn't say anything, it just laughed.
What did it look like?
A fox, maybe? It had a band over its head. Carl's eyes narrow. Hey, I found something! We all look up at Raven as he holds up a white piece of paper.
So not a corkscrew this time. A useful thing this time.
You did it.
Good job, Raven. What is that?
Carl stands up, staring hard at the paper in Raven's hand. I don't know. Looks like a photocopy of a newspaper. Let's see.
That's anachronistic for where we're at currently.
Raven turns towards the candle sitting on the desk. Jenna stands behind them.
Masetta boy missing after...
Whoa! Raven flinches back as the paper catches fire, illuminating the entire cabin room. Our shadows dance across the log walls. The paper, which Raven had dropped, flutters to the floor, a tongue of angry flame eating it up completely before it hits the floor. We all stare at the smoldering flake of ash on the ground.
Raven, are you kidding me?
What? I wasn't even that close to the candle.
That might have been what we needed.
But Raven stares at his hands, looking forlornly between them and the candle which seems to flicker innocently on the table.
Oh, poor Raven. He's getting gaslit.
I rest my face in my hands. Well, what do we do now?
He wasn't near the candle.
I pull my head out of my hands, not because of what Jenna said, but because of the way she said it. Huh?
I've got a side angle here. You're at least 2 feet away.
There's a brief silence.
Jenna, what are you talking about? I don't know, Carl. What am I talking about?
Oh. Jenna turns to the ram, eyes narrowed, teeth just slightly bared. I look at Carl. He's frowning, a concerned look on his face.
Jenna, I don't know what you're talking about.
Carl burned it to hide what was happening, didn't he?
It said Masetta boy. I'm wondering is that a place or is it a type of indigenous individual?
Like a tribe?
Yeah. Are there a bunch of missing Masetta boys? Might be connected to James Hendricks somehow, maybe? I don't know. I'm saying there's no way that candle burned that paper.
Carl's concerned expression deepens, but there's also a hint of condescension there.
What else could have done it, Jenna?
This time the silence is heavy. I'm baffled by the interactions they've been having so far, and judging by the look on Raven's face, so is he. Hey, guys, I'm sorry I burned it, but maybe we can figure something out from the title. Masetta boy missing.
I like how he just took the blame for it. What a sweetheart.
Everybody stop fighting.
What a cutie pie.
I look at Jenna. Oh yeah, Masetta, isn't that your tribe, or?
Yep.
I feel my face flush as I wonder if I'm being insensitive, Like I think she knows everyone from I think she knows everyone from the tribe.
Aren't you guys all friends?
Is that your cousin?
But what does that mean? A lot of people go missing out here.
Well, it would have something to do with James, right?
Yeah, Raven. How do we know that?
I look at Carl. Are you okay, man? You've been acting really weird ever since we got here.
I think we're all acting a little bit different after getting here, don't you think?
Carl glances at Jenna. Are we fighting again? Staring at the ash on the ground, something I should have realized earlier suddenly hits me. Wait a minute. That newspaper. It kind of looked like something that came out of the crawl space tubs.
What do you mean?
I was looking through some artifacts that Carl's family saved from way back when, for that project I was doing. It seems like years ago at this point. I snapped my fingers. And some of the stuff was missing from it, like pages ripped out from Carl's mom's notes that had photocopies of old newspapers. So that was just a clipping from the notes. Maybe? I don't know, but John was native, so maybe it has to do with him? I think back to the small fox I saw through the window, the band across his forehead. Was that John?
So, the ghost just ripped out the pages to show you in this nightmare world? Why didn't he just point them out to you in the real world?
I don't really have an answer for that.
Then we wouldn't have to be going through this shit right now.
Ghost rules?
That's a great answer to everything about what is happening.
Raven's MVP.
Chalk grilled cheese? Ghost rules, dude.
I mean,
smoke monsters? Ghost rules.
I'm realizing the trip about someone like Raven is that we were specifically introduced to a cast of like kind of broken people that have fucked up stuff going on that they're not dealing with, and then they just add Raven, the guy who works at a store. So he's just a dude, and he's just having normal reactions to things.
What if it's kind of like what's that movie that you like that has the girl who's a survivalist?
You're Next?
Yeah, where it's like there was a situation that was supposed to, like, it has a family and everyone hates each other and it's supposed to end up a certain way, but they threw in one extra person.
Yeah.
And it changed the entire outcome.
Somebody's fiance was a survivalist.
And so they
she just fucking wrecks shop and you're like, oh my god, look at her go.
She wasn't supposed to be there, but she was.
That happens also in The Hunt, where that character was just not supposed to be as competent as they were, and it's just not going according to plan.
That's such a great movie.
The Hunt is great. It's so good.
Yep.
I have a podcast. That's like the hardest I laughed that entire year was the line, I have a podcast.
It is a hard... Sorry, I wanted to make people watch that movie, but it's a really hard sell because every time I try to explain it, they think it's going to be about politics, and it kind of is, but talk shit on both sides of every stereotype. And so I really enjoy it because it really just talks smack on every kind of individual, and it's very funny.
The trick is that it doesn't have anything. It doesn't actually mock the left. It mocks Democrats, which are center-right.
Yeah, I mean, it mocks stereotypes of Democrats.
Yeah.
In the same way that it mocks stereotypes of, oh my gosh.
But like it's written by the same guy that went on to write the Watchmen show, which is like one of the primary reasons a lot of people know about Black Wall Street these days. And it's like he seems to be coming from somewhere pretty far left, and so when you're there, you're frustrated with Democrats really significantly because they aren't.
I think the people who are the most frustrated with Democrats are people on the left because they misrepresent a lot of our actual intentions, and they don't do great.
They don't do anything.
And all politicians should be looked at with shame. Tomatoes to all of them.
But anyway, Raven shrugs.
Sorry. And what if that was our key out of here?
Well, they can't just leave us here, right? We don't know anything about where we are, or what these things are capable of.
So what now? Just sit around and wait for something else to happen?
I definitely get the sense that two different forces are fighting. And that's why there's like one thing that's like like how like the possessed Carl was like, the letter, you idiot, but the other person's like the ghost monster trying to stop you from getting certain information in that world. And then here, it feels like something is trying to give us information now that we're in this other world that's on like the other side of things. And it seems like the Carl entity is trying to stop us from getting that information. Because it's like, oh, it burned. Oh, why'd you do that, Raven? Like he's like I feels like he did that because it seems like now we're dealing with information that Hendrix doesn't want out.
Yeah.
It feels like a switch happened when the settings switched.
Oh, they're bickering, like in the afterlife. They're lovers quarrel after death.
Carl suddenly sighs.
Well, I'm gonna look around some more. You guys do whatever you want.
Again, I'm taken aback by Carl's demeanor. I've never seen him act like this before. It's like he's a different person. Without another word, he turns on his hoof and walks away. Because yeah, we even have the specific thing where both of them are not acting like themselves, and they both have ancestors tied to this. Over the next several hours, we search the cabin from top to bottom. I hobble around the ground floor, careful not to look out the window, or even when the drumming starts up again at a few points. I check all of the shelves, under the chairs and tables, in the stove, in the pantry, between the cracks in the floor and walls. I don't know, maybe you should look out the window, and that's how you got the note last time.
Well, I think I was a little bit scared to look out the window.
Yeah, it's scary, but it's what worked. We don't find anything. At some point, I almost topple over from dozing off, and that's when we call off the search. There's some discussion as to where we should sleep, if we should do it in shifts. Jenna suggests we stay up downstairs while the rest of us sleep, just in case something else happens. Carl suggests that I sleep in the bed upstairs because of my leg, and I have to agree with him. Raven stays downstairs with Jenna, making himself comfortable in one of the chairs. As Carl hobbles up the stairs with me on his back, Jenna watches us the whole way. I was so curious what was going to happen when we split up, because it's always bad, obviously, but I'm like, oh fuck, the POV character's on his own. So,
and we're the POV character.
Yeah, so it's like the opposite happened of what I thought might happen, because I thought something was going to go wrong with the other three, and maybe even someone dies or something.
Like basically they all come back down, the one's missing, and we're like, oh no.
And we don't know what happened, and people have mixed responses of what's going on. I thought something was going to go on like that.
Raven's missing, and it's like, no, you did it. No, you did it.
Because I'm continually expecting the Raven red shirt moment, but instead we had a moment. Ruh-roh.
Ruh-roh.
I sit on the bed, watching as Carl moves about the room, looking behind shelves and under the bed. Carl, I hate to ask again, but are you okay? He looks back at me.
Yeah, I'm fine. I just want to make sure everything is safe with you.
Thanks. It's just that you seem different, I guess.
And it's more than just your new shirt and your beard cut. You haven't even taken your tie off. We've been down here for like 2 days.
Listen, that's sprite work.
Listen,
it's a lot of work to draw it again.
I understand that. I just think it's funny we spent this whole time with buttoned up Carl down here in the ghost world.
Carl looks at the ceiling, seemingly thinking. It's difficult to make him out in the darkness. Just like when he had a sheet over his head. I get the weird feeling that who I'm looking at might not be Carl.
I think it's just that this has made me grow up. I realize how useless I've been. This is sort of an opportunity for me to actually do something. Help people, you know?
Yeah.
Huh. A weird thing to say.
Weird amount of self-awareness.
Yeah.
Exposition to have, almost like it's an excuse. It sounds nice, but I can't get rid of that nagging feeling that something is off. It's in the way he talks, the way he moves, right down to his facial expressions. I swing my legs gingerly onto the bed and lay back. Carl comes over to sit on the other side. Gonna sleep here too?
Yeah. You need me to get around, so I'm gonna be by your side as much as possible.
Alright. Thanks. As we lay awkwardly on my backs for a moment, Carl suddenly turns on his side and pulls me into his chest. I'm surprised, and turn instinctively so that he's spooning me. I guess it makes sense that our semi-confession back in the mansion.
Yeah, but if you're not sure that he's him, then it's not
I was gonna say,
fun time.
I was going to say the person that is maybe possessing him is definitely gay. So
Well, we already know that guy's gay.
he nuzzles my neck, but again, the action is weirdly unnatural. Even with his big, warm body next to mine, it takes me a long time to fall asleep. I almost wonder if he is possessed and the person's like trying to role play what he thinks their relationship is. Like he's like gesturing at what level they think he thinks they're on. It doesn't get that they kissed once in a beanbag.
I think kissed once in a beanbag. I think it more like
they're on beanbag base, you know.
Yeah, you know,
like between
they're
2 and 3.
it's 2.5, like. But no, I think it's more so just that this guy's been a ghost for a long time and he hasn't gotten to feel any hot dudes up for a while. So it'd be very funny to me if Jenna walks up and it's like, "How dare you? Because you're cheating on my ancestor."
Well.
Well.
What is happening?
What is ever happening?